Hey, welcome back to the Weekly Word Outdoor Adventures. Thanks for joining us here. Have you heard about the old Cherokee warrior by the name of Dragon Canoe? I've been reading about him recently. Seems like Dragon Canoe was a hothead from birth. His father was one of the wisest Indians, Attakulla, and his cousin was Nancy Ward, who was also wise, and both of them were always for peace. But Dragon Canoe, it seems like he was just an angry from his youth. He wanted to go with the warriors when he was way too little, and his daddy told him, "You're too little to go with the warriors on the warpath." They were up at Chota on the Little T, and Dragon Canoe, I guess, pitched a fit the way kids do, and his daddy said, "When you're big enough to take your own canoe and haul it from up here on the bank and bring it to the water, said you can go with them." So all the warriors were loading up, and they were in the canoes headed down the Little T, and they looked, and here was that little boy over there, had the end of one of those dugout canoes trying to drag it across the land toward the river, and they said, look, he's dragging the canoe. From that day forth, he was known as Dragon Canoe. Well, Dragon Canoe and the young Cherokee warriors, they didn't like giving all their land away that the old folks were doing in all the treaties, but just like today, the old folks had a little wisdom. They didn't want to give the land away really either, but they knew that it was inevitable, and they just tried to keep negotiating the best that they could and giving up their land because they knew there was no way to stand against all those whites that were coming in. But Dragon Canoe and his young warriors, they got so mad at the rest of the Cherokee that they just split away from them. They came down to Chattanooga area and stopped calling them the Cherokee. They was the Chickamaugas down there. And they gathered up a bunch of riff-raff English Tories and people that was wanted as a mixture of whites and Creek Indians and Dragon Canoes, and they kept conducting raids all across Tennessee and up into Virginia and just wreaking a lot of havoc. And finally the U.S. government said they're going to have to take care of them, and they did a surprise attack by boat. They came down the Tennessee River and came into their towns. I think they burned 11 towns and ran all the Indians out. They overwhelmed them, and they captured all their stuff. They ate their food, and they captured 300 pack horses of guns and ammunition and other supplies. And when they captured all this stuff, they took it. Colonel Shelby was the leader. They took it back upriver for a few miles from above Chattanooga, and they got up to the mouth of a small creek there, and they decided they're going to have to get rid of some of that stuff. So they held a big auction, and Colonel Shelby himself auctioned off one of the horses, and they auctioned off all the guns and everything to the people around. And from that day forth, that creek was called Sail Creek. And now you know the story of Sail Creek. That's sort of what the Lord did, wasn't it? He entered into the enemy's territory, planet Earth, to take back what the devil had stole, and that's human beings' soul. So I hope you've made your trust in the Lord, because he went through a lot to get you back. We'll see you next week on the Weekly Word, Lord willing.